Yesterday, Bernie beat Hillary in a historic rout, beat her in every town, beat her among women by 11%, crushed her among young voters, independents, beat her in every age demo except seniors, beat her in every income demo except those making over 200K, beat her by the biggest margin of victory in New Hampshire by any Democrat since OBJ. And despite that victory, despite that massive margin, Bernie Sanders got the same amount of delegates in New Hampshire as Hillary because Hillary already had 6 superdelegates. So Sanders won 15, Hillary won 9, and that somehow put them both at 15. So around the country, she has about 360, well over 300 superdelegates lined up. That's almost half of the superdelegates. There's 712. Bernie has 8. Josh, can these superdelegates decide the race if it's that close? Or like you said, are we going to see some of them change their support if Sanders does keep outperforming expectations?
Here's the thing. If the Democrats learned the lesson of 2008, that wouldn't happen. But as this entire campaign has shown, no one learned any lessons from 2008. So I think that they might try, and again, as things go on and elections keep happening, Hillary needs to start winning. If she can't come in first, and decisively so in an election, then no, I don't care how many superdelegates she has. The Democrats can nominate Hillary, but no one will vote for her. You have to that's also kind of what would have probably happened with Republicans too, because if you have a throng of people ready to vote for a candidate, you don't nominate someone else because you want to be in power. So I think that Bernie and Hillary, the delegate race will be the most important, but it'll maybe be equally as important as sort of the narrative race and who's racking up more wins. And I'm sure there'll be examinations of the popular vote and things like that. Because again, in Iowa, didn't Bernie win more votes technically than Hillary? Like in terms of popular vote?
I think on the recount, he still got it.
Yeah. So I think that if the Democrats are smart, which the history shows they're absolutely not, they would not try to appear to be undemocratic in selection of their nominee, even though this isn't like a constitutionally regulated election process. This is just a party business. They would be foolish to do it, but again, if Sanders is the nominee and they're scared enough, they might.
Peter?
There's a couple of the things. I mean, first, I think for a couple of the people out there who may not be clear on what a superdelegate is, basically, the idea is that most delegates are allotted by a state-based system, the caucus-based system, and Bernie gets some and Hillary gets some based on how the state decides to divide them up, typically by who gets votes and things like that. Superdelegates are appointed, typically by the party, the Democratic Party itself. And these are almost always prominent Democrats with long histories of supporting the Democratic Party and the Democratic establishment. In New Hampshire, for example, the governor is one of them, a senator is one of them. Several are actually officials in the Democratic National Party. So these are real hardcore, we'll say conservative members of the party, and they tend to go establishment. That's probably the better word. They tend to go with the candidate that the party is anointing. They're not, even though they're free to vote for someone else. And the Clinton campaign has from day one courted these folks very aggressively. And this has been something of a strategy, saying basically, look, very little is going to matter until Super Tuesday, when we're going to sweep up a whole bunch of delegates through the primary process. We're going to throw on top of that the majority of the superdelegates. And at that point, there's really not much Bernie Sanders can do. If he wants to go out and fight us for the delegates in Idaho or something, great, we'll deal with that. That said, I think a month from now, we're going to have basically know the Democratic side of things. Hillary is supposedly going to take the majority of non-white votes in South Carolina, which primarily African Americans, which if the group comes out in large numbers and actually votes for her, that will put her in a terrific position to be a winner. And that's, as Josh said, very important to the narrative going forward, that she's able to stand up and be a winner once and for all.
To build on that, Peter, too, it also proves her point that Bernie's not nationally electable. Because, right. Look, this demographic, right. You know.
That's right, because something like a third of known Democratic voters are non-white. And so capturing that 40%, okay, even higher. So, you know, getting into that group, which of course is not like, you know, 40 guys in one place. I mean, it's actually a very diverse group of people. But the idea is that most pundits and pollsters feel that Bernie doesn't have many inroads into that. It's important to point out that until fairly recently, most people said that about young women and Bernie, and that Hillary had that locked up. I think if we see in South Carolina that Hillary does capture a significant non-white vote, given how many southern states are involved in Super Tuesday, she's going to be sitting in a very pretty position. There's a great piece on Huffington Post today, actually, which was asking the question of, well, why are African Americans, for example, so allegedly so enamored with Hillary Clinton? Literally, what has she done for them? And it comes up kind of short. You know, Bill Clinton certainly had a good reputation among African Americans, but seriously, Hillary, what has she done? I mean, senator from New York, Wall Street person there, all her Caucasianness, Secretary of State had nothing to do with any of these internal U.S. domestic things. Her trip to Flint, Michigan was pandering at the Clinton worst. You know, hey, bring me some small black children to pose with. You know, I mean, I don't know that I get the idea that she is supposed to be so popular with the non-white demographic.
See, and let me get on this conversation since I haven't talked in a while. But see, I think Bernie Sanders.
Well, it's yours, candidate.
Well,
Carson.
So looking at the poll, Bernie Sanders, first off, we haven't had a Nevada poll in a while, so I think based on like the new happenings in the Democratic Party, we might see some changes in the numbers there. I still think Clinton would be leading, but I think whenever we go into states and we start doing the rallies and stuff, that's where Bernie Sanders really shines. Though he knows how to kind of pull people into his campaign trap, get them in, and then get them to vote. Hillary Clinton's not as good at that. I think she'll struggle. And when I look at Bernie Sanders, I see a candidate that has much more potential to latch onto the Black Lives Matter movement or to try to really appeal to different demographics, unlike Clinton, who appears like that, almost like your old white grandma that's a little racist at the table at Thanksgiving. I don't see her having the same opportunity. And I totally agree with you, Peter, when you say that. What the hell has she done for black people? What the hell has she done for anybody? So.
All right.